Okay, let's continue the AFC East draft analysis. And after doing Miami, that brings us to the Jets. They finished third in the AFC East. And with their first round, 11th overall pick, the New York Jets selected Mekhi Becton, tackle from Louisville. He's got good size, good strength, 7-foot wingspan, helps kind of prevent him from getting bull rushed and pushed over a lot. Also helps him guys going to the outside. One of the biggest concerns for Becton was, can he stay disciplined with his weight? I think as long as you do that and there's consistent development, I think he could become a very solid starter in this league. The reason I give it a B plus is because, to me, I think it would have been better for New York to have gone with a number one wide receiver candidate. They had them all available. And having that been the case, I think it would have been a little bit better for their offense. And maybe if you finally get Sam Darnold a weapon and it's like, okay, let's see what he can do now. And if he still stinks, then maybe he really just isn't our guy. So I was a little bit surprised about that. They went with a tackle. So that's why I gave it a B. But it's a very good pick. He could definitely develop well and become very good in the NFL. So overall, not a bad pick. The only thing I think they could have done other than picking him was maybe picking a wide receiver, but in the end, I think it'll work out all right. Because with their second round pick, overall, 59th overall, they picked Denzel Mims, wide receiver out of Baylor. He produced very well at Baylor. He had 28 touchdowns, way over 100 catches for 2,800 something yards. Very impressive in his 3-year career at Baylor. And the thing that sticks out is that he played well against a tough competition, which was OU, Texas, and Georgia. He ran a 4.38 40 with at 6'3", 207 pounds. Very strong. He's got the size. 16 reps a bench. I gave this pick an A. It's exactly what they needed to do. They definitely got that guy who, no doubt in my opinion, has all the tools to become a number one wide receiver. He just has more room and has a lot bigger gap between him and where his ceiling ends. I think he could definitely develop into a very good wide receiver in the NFL. He's kind of got everything you need. Now they just you work on the small things. Route running, he needs to sharpen the route running. And the other thing he needs to do is learn how to use his size a little bit more effectively, because with the 6'3", 207 pounds, he should be able to dominate a lot of the corners that go up against him. So that he needs to learn how to use his weight a little bit better. But I think the upside with this pick is tremendous, and it could really be a good pick, and I think it ended up being a good first round, second round selection. Very good 2 picks there. So that pick for me was an A. That moves on to their third round, 68th overall pick, Ashton Davis, safety out of Cal. I gave the pick a B. To me, Davis is kind of a boomer bust. He's got the athleticism. He's got good size at 6'1", 202 pounds. He's a crazy athlete. If I'm not mistaken, he did track at Cal. I think he did the hurdles. I could be wrong. And with more experience, because I don't think he's played football too long, maybe a little bit into high school and then college at Cal, I think he'll learn how to anticipate, how to recognize routes, and when he gets that, I think his athleticism, he'll be able to jump on the ball very well. So I think with experience, he actually could become a very good safety, and as long as New York doesn't give away Jamal Adams. I think he's got a perfect teacher in Jamal. And really the only thing else that he needs to do is kind of be more controlled in coverage and become a better focused tackler. But I think both those things will come with experience. So I gave it a B because I definitely think something good can come out of it. But if Jamal isn't the teacher I think he can be, and they don't help him develop and teach him and get him into the game of football, then it could be a very lame pick. But it has the potential to be good. I gave it a B. It's a very good first 3 picks for New York. With their second, third round pick, 79th overall, they picked Jabari Zuninga, defensive end, outside linebacker for Florida. I gave it a B- because it definitely is a need for New York. They do need a rusher. But Zuninga, he's an athlete, and he decided to play football, so again, kind of lacks the experience and the necessary football skills, but he ran a 4.6, 440, and he benched 29 reps. So he's got the strength, the speed, the size, very good athlete, and I think with some more experience, because at 40 he was a little bit injury prone, so he didn't get all the experience you would want from a guy that plays college football. So you get a little bit more experience, learn a few more techniques, get better at just football, then I think he could become a good football player. But again, it's a developmental piece, and I'm not sure the Jets are comfortable developmental-wise. I know they don't have the developmental gods over there in New York, so I gave it a B-, but there is room for development to me, and it's boom or bust again with Zuninga. So with their 4th round pick, 120th overall, they picked LaMichael Pirine, running back out of Florida. I gave it a C. He does come from a football family, but I don't think football is necessarily for him. He doesn't really have bursting speed. His numbers at Florida were not that great. It just doesn't seem very special. Doesn't seem like he has big play all over him. And I think they definitely do need a running back because, in my opinion, Le'Veon Bell, 1, was never that great, and now 2 is really not that good. So, unless he produces better, they're not going to have a good backfield this year either, because I don't think P. Ryan's going to help out that much. He just doesn't have the ability to open up a play and make it a big one. And I think longevity is also a question because he runs more physically, a lot of contact. It doesn't really play like Emmitt Smith did, very conservative to the body. So in that sense, if he does play, he won't last long. And then 2, I don't even think he'll play that much. So I gave it a C. It's a waste of a 4th round pick in my opinion. This was a running back heavy class, and to not get one and to waste a pick on one like this, I think is a very big mistake. With their second, 4th round pick, 125th overall, they picked James Morgan, quarterback out of Florida International. This pick was a D- for me. 3 words here. From was available. Morgan played in the MAC conference, and then the CUSA conference of Florida International. His passing completion percentage was 57.2%. Nothing special. He had a 65-34 touchdown interception ratio, including a few years where it was really bad. He is not a runner. He does not have good pocket mobility or pocket presence, and his footwork has also been criticized heavily. He lacks a lot of skills, in my opinion, and again, this is another 4th round pick. Fromm was available. I'm not sure if Eason was available. I can't remember when he was picked, but either way, they messed up heavily. This is way too big of a developmental piece. They do not have any veteran quarterback there. They have another guy in development in Sam Darnold. So this does not help out at all. It's a really bad waste of a pick. I don't think Morgan is going to develop nicely at all. So with that, I gave it a D-. That takes us to their third fourth-round pick, 129th overall, Cameron Clark, guard or tackle from Charlotte. I gave it a B+ because he has potential. He's a captain when he was at Charlotte. He could play guard or tackle, very versatile. He unfortunately lacks consistency. He played some very good games, especially when Charlotte played Clemson. He played excellent, but he did not play like he did against Clemson the entire season. So I think that comes from the footwork and the technique, which is a little shaky. So polish that out. I think he's got potential. He showed it that playing at the worst school, he could still play with the bigger dogs. So I think he's got potential, and they're definitely their best fourth-round pick, in my opinion, of the three. With their fifth-round pick, 158th overall, they picked Bryce Hall, cornerback from Virginia. I gave it an A+. This guy, once I started watching his film, very impressive. He was an excellent corner at Virginia. He led the FBS with 21 pass deflections in 2018. I think he could be a very reliable in zone coverage out of the gate. I think he needs to improve his press coverage and his transitions, and then, of course, his man coverage to be a more all-around corner. But I think at 6'2", 202, right out of the gate, he could be a very decent corner. And I think over time, he could become a very, very good corner. And he could definitely match up against the more physical, bigger wide receivers in this league. So, great pick, 5th round. I gave it an A+ because the potential, in my opinion, is very great. With the 6th round pick, 191st overall, they selected Brandon Mann, punter from Texas A&M. Well, in my opinion, when you draft a punter in the draft, you best draft the best one available, and they did. I gave this pick an A+. I'm pretty sure they need a punter, and he literally is the best at what he does. He won the Ray Guy Award his junior year when he averaged 51 yards a punt, which was an NCAA record. And he could definitely boot the ball on the kickoff, so they got a kickoff guy and a very good punter. Fabulous pick for the Jets again. So overall, I gave the Jets a B+. They had some very, very good picks, very well organized, and they did hit a lot of their needs. They got a lot of guys that, in my opinion, have the potential. So the question is now whether or not they can develop them. And so to me, this draft class, when you talk about the grade, it's one that could definitely be an A+. And then it's also a draft class that could be a C-. It just depends on the development. And so I gave it a B+ overall. I think they did very good. They made a few mistakes, but overall they made, in my opinion, a lot of good picks, especially later in the draft. They used their picks, whereas so far we've seen a lot of teams have kind of wasted them. So overall, I think it's a good pick. Good picks by the Jets. They hit the needs, so not bad. B+. That was first place in the AFC East.